Welcome to Of Seed and Soil, Unincorporated Voices of Food, Farming, and Freedom. I am Sommer Sibilly-Brown, founder and executive director of Virgin Islands Good Food Coalition. I'm a daughter of this soil, I'm a storyteller, and I'm a firm believer in the power of our voices to grow new futures. And I have the privilege of being the host of this podcast. This podcast space is being born in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, but we hope its roots stretch far throughout and across the Caribbean. And we gather here to hear the voices of farmers, fishers, healers, elders, to be with people, those who are with the land, those who have deep memory, and those who are of our communities, because we believe that food is not just what we eat, but it's culture, it's resistance, it's love. And on today's episode of Seed and Soil, I have, and I'll say this, and hopefully he might blush, but I actually have my favorite farmer. Yes, I love all the farmers, but I actually have my favorite farmer, Luca Gasperi, here with me. Luca is a second-generation farmer. He's an artist. He's the co-founder of ARTfarm, which is on St. Croix South Shore. And for decades, he has worked with quiet integrity and deep intention to grow heirloom fruits, vegetables, and herbs, while also cultivating a connection with beauty and really being a great steward, at least in my opinion, of the land. And so I'm really happy to share some time with Luca today while I'm sharing time with you guys. So, hey, Luca.
Hey, Sommer.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on our new podcast.
It's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. So the whole purpose of the podcast, Luca, it's about the texture and the multiplicity of our farming community and of our food warriors and of like the people who have taken up this charge of food. And when I think about that here in St. Croix, I think about you. And I know like the quiet sounds like a spiel, like the quiet integrity. Well, I actually really feel that from you. And so I want to ask, my first question is, I've introduced you as Luca the farmer, but I'm really curious what you'd like to share about Luca the person.
Well, yeah. Definitely the artist comes in strong. Mm-hmm. That is kind of my not so much therapy, but I do it, and it does help me to just stay grounded, like probably even more so than the farming, because the farming's become so much more than just a small practice. Art is the smaller practice, so when I get a chance to do it, it brings me more. I get more from it, if that makes sense, because it's rare and special. The farming is like, I'm so involved now. It's every day. If I don't, there's death, literal death. Plants die, animals die. But with the art, I can kind of leave it for a long time, but it's always in me and I always want to do it. And since our trip to Puerto Rico and Vieques, I've totally come back to it. And it just is a very powerful daily practice where I'll sketch for literally a minute to 5 minutes, but that just grounds me. So art is a big part of who I am, even though I don't do it every day.
That's interesting because, one, I see your work on the farm as art. I remember, at least creativity. You remember the farm tour I was on where you showed us the new implement that you had kind of like mashed together? It was like, there's tools that farmers need, and so we create them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely work art into the farm because it's, I went to Parsons in New York City for graphic design, basically. So the idea of designing space or tools or just even like time it all can be designed. And so the tools, when I'm working and a tool is like too short, that's like the worst, like pickaxe handles. I don't understand why they make them so short. They make them for like, it doesn't make sense. So if you're a big person, and I'm not even a big person, but you're having to swing and bend. If you just make that handle a foot longer. So Christina gave me a tool where I can easily carve with a special tool, a man-jack post from St. Croix, and make a beautiful handle that's longer and way easier to use. So yeah, all that stuff. Definitely art works into the farm. It's a beautiful, farming is beautiful. Like you're creating a living piece of art, basically. So
when you were introing yourself and you said something that I thought was important, you said like, so yes, I'm a farmer and I'm also an artist. And you talked about the fact that, and the farming is more involved because you said like, if I don't go out, it's literally life and death, right? And immediately, you know what came up in my head? Your compost painting.
Yes.
Because
that's a nice connection. Yeah.
So many people may not know, or now they know, that Luca's a farmer and he's an artist. And I've had the privilege of seeing at least like 2 of your showings. And in this one showing, there was this beautiful piece, right, of death. It was a compost pile. And so like seeing it the way you saw it, like I was like, how did you make that beautiful? Like I can't explain it. Yep. And I wish the picture was here because it was the first time that I had seen compost as something that could be beautiful.
That could be beautiful. Yeah. No, that's just interesting the way you said life and death, because compost is right there. It's like right at that crossroads of like the life is slowly changing into something else that is then we could consider death, but then becomes life again. So it's quite a little journey that's happening right there. And on the farm, that's one of the things that brings me the most connection in a way to life is the composting process. Because I get this lobster, this fish, whatever it is, and usually it's been refrigerated, but then they bring it to me and it's slowly getting hotter. The flies come, it starts to transition. And before it fully transitions, it's usually very beautiful. And I've taken so many pictures of that. And I did a show that was focused on that. And that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, I think that two things, I feel like you just broke 2 myths. I don't think the average person realizes that you can compost like a meat product. Like I think when we talk about composting, we end up talking about leaves, banana scraps, like green food scraps, green food waste. And so that was one of the places where I first realized what meat composting happens.
Yeah.
And I think you said another thing that was brilliant is that flies are a natural part of the cycle. So we have associated flies coming to our process as something that is unnatural and like nasty and bad and like, oh, this is horrible. You shouldn't be here because there are flies. Yep. But actually like fruit, there is a part in life's process where flies are necessary.
Yeah. And you're like, you touched on like fruit flies, house flies, black soldier flies, like all these different insects will come and they will they get the signal. Okay, there's food over here. It's my time and I'll go do my thing. So it's a thing. And that's what's crazy about farming is like you're dealing with natural law. You're not dealing with, humanity's idea of laws. It's like nature has there's thresholds. There's things that if you put something out there, something's going to happen. Like there will be a reaction, and that reaction, if you pay attention, you'll learn from it. If not, you might get angry at it and try to kill it. Versus like realizing you just set up a situation where certain people are going to come to that party. You're creating a party for composting is like you're bringing on the party. Yeah.
So here's one of the reasons why Luca is one of my favorite humans. Like I tease him all the time and I'm like, whenever we're together, I'm like, you're my favorite farmer, right? Like I'm always whispering to Luca, you're my favorite. And he was always like, no, oh gosh. Like, okay. Yeah. And in many ways, I really mean it, but it's because of the things that you say like this. When you were just talking, I was like, oh, that's because it's the truth, right? When you were drawing the analogy between like, there's the human laws that we make, right? Policies, rules, all those things that govern our human societies. And then there's these natural laws that exist, right? That in a compost process at a certain point, there's signals that flies, different varieties of them, worms, all these things come in process. And they're immutable. Like you actually really can't change them, right? And if you try to, or you do, it creates a negative reaction for like just more than the thing there.
Yeah.
It made me think, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
What's happening in that compost pile is like universal, geological, earthbound truth. And it's been happening for thousands of years.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's evolved to be like, there's a specific bacteria for specific moments and temperatures in the compost. So like certain things will come and heat up the compost pile. And then once a certain amount of fuel is gone, then other creatures come in and continue the operation. And it's like, it's fascinating. It's soil. I mean, this is great. Like that we're focusing on soil, and it's seeds, soil, just like that is nature. And it's up to us to figure out how to work with nature and seeds and all that, and not try to like force, because force doesn't work for nature like it doesn't work for people. So
I have a question, because in my head, why is soil important to you?
Soil is life. Soil is like, I mean, soil is in my opinion is one of the few things I can kind of help and hopefully create better. Like when I leave, the soil will hopefully be better. Like that's always my goal. And without good soil, like perfect example, like at Longford where I farm, the closer you get to the houses, the crazier the soil gets. You could still grow stuff, but generally things really struggle, really, really struggle, because if you think about it, when the houses were built, there was all kinds of disturbance, and soil, it evolves to be certain layers, have certain life forms and certain good things. And when you all of a sudden start digging, you're flipping all of that. And so what was deep, deep, deep is now on the surface. So there's all kinds of weird combinations of soil. And so plants, especially fruits, really struggle. And so that's like, humans did that. And I know that there's some contractors that know better now. They know like they will remove all the topsoil, set it aside, do all the work, and then they'll bring the topsoil back. So there's ways around that. But realizing that soil, that top soil is so important, like it's the saddest thing to see big construction projects where all that soil is just covered with concrete. Like that's like so much life that is just gone, and now it's just like, it's not permanent, but it's pretty damn permanent once you put concrete in infrastructure, like the refinery or whatever else, like that all could have been trees, forests, but now it's just what it is.
And so if you're not, if you're just joining us, or you're not a farmer or a gardener or a soil scientist, right? Like there is a difference between soil and dirt, right? One of these things is alive and has nutrients and has enzymes and nitrogen and phosphorus. And so, because, for the average person, soil and dirt are interchangeable.
Right.
And so I just want to name that one of these things is the healthier form, though they are related. Dirt is what soil becomes when all the nutrients have been drained and depleted and there is no longer life in it.
Right.
And I'm going to introduce, like, I love vocabulary. It's a thing. The word Anthropocene, right? Because you talked about it. You said basically it describes what the human impact is on something. And so we as humans have an impact on the earth. We're in relationship with it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you then, what is your land story, or what is your relationship with Longford? How do you, if you were to describe it, right? What is your relationship with that land?
Man, Longford is home. Mm-hmm. It's really like, I'm one of those people that likes to be in one place and likes to be there for a long time and experience all of it. And so I know Longford very well. Like I know, and further out from like the house, like when my father was running the cattle, we had the Senepal were everywhere. And so I know that land really well, like on foot, walking in the guts, like I would literally, they would be in the trucks, I would be on my feet chasing the cattle to get them in. So I know that land, and it's like I have all these memories of being in different places. The guts in particular are always so special because, when people think of guts on St. Croix, they think of Creaky Dam and like the serious wet guts. By us, the guts are almost always dry, but they're deeper and they're shadier. And it's just a whole different, like you can go in a gut and you're just like in this little oasis of shade, and it's just, and then it's just very different. But yeah, Longford is home. After growing up here, senior year, Hurricane Hugo hit. Senior year for high school. So I went to St. Petersburg, Florida from September till Christmas. And I was so eager and happy to come home, and I was able to finish graduating from Good Hope for that rest of the year. Then I went to New York City, and I was there for 9 years. And that towards the end in particular, I knew I wanted to come home. I didn't know what I was going to do. Long story short, I interned on a farm that like changed everything for me. I was like, this is what I want to do when I come back home. But that whole time when I was thinking of home, I was thinking of Longford. Like I'm very grounded in Longford, and it's probably to my detriment because there's other properties on St. Croix where I probably, if my mind was in that direction, I could probably like go to those other properties and rent, or even from the government or whatever, and farm in a different place where there might be more rain, might have better soil. But for some reason, I'm like committed to Longford, and like I think it's because my parents worked so hard to have it. My dad did not make a lot of money working the cattle, and as a gift to him for 30 or 40 years of work, my aunt gifted him a 40-acre parcel. So it seemed kind of to me like, okay, this was gifted to my father. I love farming. Let me just do this. And so it's been great, but it's hard. It's like really hard to actually take care of it and treat it. Treating it right is fine, but it's a lot.
So I hear two things, right? I hear this deep story of place, right? Where there is family legacy there as a second generation farmer, right? Your dad worked this land. When you describe Longford, it was almost like describing a lady, right? I imagine like, I know her curves, right?
Yeah.
Like, the contour of the place, and you have, and like you have longing and desire. And I understand that because when I fly in home, from any place in the world, and I see St. Croix, it could be from St. Thomas for a day. Yeah. When we begin to approach the land that is St. Croix, my heart literally swells. So I understand this deep connection to a thing that almost makes no sense, right? Because it's 84 square miles. I feel it. So I get that. But you're talking about like the beauty and also the struggle of maintaining land and stewarding it and being a farmer. So I'm going to ask you one question, and I want you to look at it from the two sides, right? You want to start with the best or the worst?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so let's end this question on a high note. What is the hardest part of what you do, right? Like, what are you struggling with or fighting with? Like, I chose to be a farmer. I'm farming this land, and this pisses me off, or I'm wrestling with this regularly.
The list is long. the list is long, but high up on the list is rats. I'm not joking. Like, rats do not play. They are smart. They are so good at what they do. And because we're on the drier side, we do not have the boas. We don't have the snakes. We have mongoose. I know mongoose will eat a rat. I've seen it. we have chicken hawks, we have some cats, but the rats, they're like constant. Just the only blessing is if we get a ton of rain, then there's a ton of food. It's not just what I'm growing, but when it's dry like it is right now, if I'm growing something and it's got water in it, a rat is gonna have to eat it because there's nothing else for it to eat. But when it's rainy, like perfect example, last year, it was rainy. I had a lot of pineapples. I had almost no damage. This year, damage because it's dry. And luckily I have way less. So it's just, so rats, I'd say, drought, like the seasonal, like especially where Longford is like when it is dry, it is dry. And right now it is dry. And so that means you go out, everything is struggling. You have to decide who are you going to water. You can't water everything. So you have to pick who's gonna survive. So that's always kind of tough because there's things that you've tried to get going, and if they don't make it to a certain point, then you have to kind of decide. We're not quite at that stage yet, but I'm definitely cutting back on water in case it stays dry. The threat of fire, that's like, this last fire was like bigger and more intense than past fires. Again, tied to last year's crazy year of rain. So the farm was just lush, beautiful grass, skinny grass. Like our pasture was beautiful, but then it got dry, and that's just fuel. So that fire, the day it started was a hot day and a windy day. And it swept through like all those scenes we see that happen in California, Hawaii, like it's that kind of like, it's coming so quick that you can't. So that's some serious stuff, man. Fire, like, and all the smoke I had to breathe and my family had to breathe is just like, wow. Like I feel for all those people that have it like on the regular, like it's crazy. And then storms. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's long.
The list is long, but I feel like the theme is tight because the rats were impacted by weather patterns, wet and dry, right? The fire is impacted by weather patterns. The drought is impacted by weather patterns. So I feel like the large theme is like what's happening with our climate is one of the things that you as a farmer, a human, and a person who lives on South Shore is like struggling and has to think about and grapple with, right? Like top of my list, let's talk about climate. My second side of that question is what in your day brings you joy or hope or the thing that gets you excited? You do your happy dance when you think about this season or this moment of your day.
So harvesting is always like, that's always like, you're just like, damn, look at that dragon fruit, or look at this mango or whatever it is. You're kind of like, there, it worked. Like all my hard work, all these volunteers, everyone, it like, there's a result. So like harvesting is a beautiful thing. Unless you planted a ton and then you're like, why did I plant so much? And then you're like, damn. But harvesting is a great thing. Seeing the animals happy, seeing plants happy, like seeing things like thriving, that probably gives me the most joy. And that's what makes this time of the year like harder. They talk about seasonal disorders where people like in the winter and wintry places, when the sun's gone, they start to suffer. I definitely feel that in the summer here. So, but the flip side is like when the plants are happy and you did something right and the conditions are right and, you got the water just right and the plant is just like singing, that's a wonderful thing. And same thing with the animals, like seeing them happy. The sheep, when I go to move them, they literally start to like, and I can talk to them and kind of get them excited and they'll start doing laps. And they'll just run back and forth like they're so psyched. They're like, yes, 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 yes. And then you move them and they're just super happy.
Talk to me about the harvest that you brought. I'm excited because we have fresh fruit on the table.
So right before I came here, I had to go let the chickens out. And I was like, you know what? Let me just pick something to show. But this is a dragon fruit. This is a variety. I'm pretty sure this is Natural Mystic. Ruben Roebuck gave me a bunch of slips years ago. Part of farming that is exciting is like there's so many different things you can try growing. And so I keep trying to grow stuff. And I'm really glad that I did try to grow dragon fruit because it's actually turned into a good crop. It's a nice crop versus a pineapple. It gives you way more fruit per square footage. A pineapple is like 1 fruit per year. This will fruit multiple times, and the bigger the plant gets, the more fruit. So I love it. It's dark red inside. This is the one when people ask me, what's the sweetest one you have? That's the question that I get all the time, which actually kind of, it doesn't annoy me, but I'm just like, is sugar all we need? Like, aren't you going to ask like taste besides? But that's the question most customers, whether they're from here, from the States, is like, what's the sweetest blah? What's this? And I'm just like, okay, so this is the sweetest one. We have other ones that are less sweet, but to me have more flavor. But this is the sweetest one, for sure. Then this is a mango that we decided to call Butterball. And the reason I brought this is because it originated in Vieques. Really? So that Vieques trip, it's still like massive in my mind and heart. But this, a wonderful fisherwoman, farmer, chef came to the farm years ago and brought me some avocados and said, hey, I got these avocados. Like, do you want to try selling them? I was like, sure. The next time she came, she also had these mangoes. And I was like, what's that? She's like, these are really nice. And they were bigger than this. This one fell off prematurely, but and she was so like subtle about the avocados, like one of the best avocados. And then with the mango, same thing. So like, there's this mango. Delicious. We call it Butterball because you could slice off the cheek and you eat it with a spoon and you swear you're eating like honey. It literally has a very honey flavor to it. This mango is ridiculous. No fiber at all. And it's from Vieques. And so I have I'm feeling more connected to Vieques because I kind of growing up on the farm at Longford, a lot of the people that worked on the farm or had history on the farm were from Vieques. And I didn't really, it's not like they talk about it all the time. Like, yeah, I'm from Vieques. No, it's just like, that was Juan or that was, that was whoever that was. And he's someone that I just knew from childhood. But now I'm realizing like the bigger connection to Vieques. So yeah, that's what I brought.
So for context, if, people are joining us on the podcast, they don't know that we went to Vieques. So I'll tell everybody. 2 weeks ago?
I think 2 weeks at least.
2 weeks ago, we had the opportunity from the Virgin Islands Good Food had the opportunity to take about 8 farmers from the Virgin Islands to meet up with farmers from across the Caribbean. So it was an interesting series of events, just really trying to travel from St. Croix and St. Thomas to Vieques, but we spent a day in Loíza.
Which I missed.
You missed the day in Loíza.
Silver Airlines, sadly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we figured it out, and Luca made it just in time to catch the boat to Vieques, and we spent 4 days in Vieques, and I'm glad you brought it up because there is a connection. And I didn't know that there was a connection between Vieques and Longford, but in Vieques, I had it was the first time in my history of working for Good Food where my hands were in the soil. So we did a farmer brigade, which is basically volunteering on a farm to help that farmer do work. And my hands were in the soil, and I really had a moment. I was like, oh, wow, here I am out in the field, helping planting trees for the first time in 12 years. It's 12 years of Good Food's existence. Mm-hmm. And my first hands in the soil was in Vieques. And I felt like there is meaning to it, whether it's the meaning I'm making. But that experience for me was really unique. I felt something different. So the fact that you said you feel moved, do you think you could put it in words? Because for me, it was just like, they're so deeply entrenched in the movement building of this work.
Yeah. I mean, it was very impressive for me to see like the drive that Anna had and all the women around her had to just make this project happen. And I mean, it gave me shivers, like knowing how much work you all had to do on this end to get us there. And then once we were there, the amount of work they had to do just to make that happen. And then finally daytime comes and we see the farm and I see how much work they're putting into it. It just blew me away. And just the unity and the pride that they had and wanting better changes in Vieques is just like, yeah, it was strong. And then the soil, like I remember Dale saying the same thing, like, and even in Puerto Rico actually, but the soil in Vieques in particular was beautiful. And there was almost no stones. There was almost no rocks. Like it was very, like almost disturbing. Like it looked like
flour, like brown cake flour.
Like cocoa mix, like just like, oh my gosh, beautiful, soft. I was blown away with the soil. The soils, yeah.
So part of our work at VI Good Food and part of why Of Seed and Soil podcast exists is to cultivate that connection. So one, I'm super glad that you had an opportunity to experience something that is giving you energy and carrying you forward, and you could look around and be like, that mango come from Vieques. If you could, 10 years into the future, have whatever it is Luca desired for the food system, whether it's right here on St. Croix, across the Caribbean, or globally, like you have a magic wand and you get to have whatever you want, what would that be?
More people on farms, like, but not like forced to be on farms, like on farms out of like want and realizing like how important it is, you know, like, and in a community, in some kind of community situation where we all have a stake in it, not like this capitalist ownership. Like it has to be more of like a commons. That's not, it has to be, but that's what I would dream and want.
The wand is yours, so you can say what it has to be. I gave you the magic wand. I said, tell us.
Something where like people can come with their kids, go on a farm, spend a little bit of time, get connected to the soil, and it's part of their life instead of like people feeling like they're secluded or excluded is what I mean, excluded from land. Because that's the whole thing, is like we have to get back to the soil. We have to, and yeah, that would be my wish, is to figure out a way to where people can go and be with plants and nature.
Are there opportunities for people to come and be with you on your farm or at your market? Or
for sure, that's something that we've been doing since the early years, where we were at Southgate. You know, when I first started farming on St. Croix, it was at Longford. And then I got hired to be a co-manager at Southgate Farms, which is completely different soil, very clay, very shallow soil. And then you hit some hard stuff. But we asked people to come and help, in exchange for food, I think we did back then. And we had a lot of people that would just come and help out, and they loved it. Like I ran into someone recently who, someone older than me, and he was like, yeah, I used to help you at the farm. And I couldn't remember him. Like there's been that many people. That was, yeah. And so we've continued it at ARTfarm at Longford. And since the fires, we've really, like, Christina put the call out and people have offered, and some great relationships, really. Yeah. Like there's a guy named John who lives close to a restaurant. Once a week, he goes to the restaurant, picks up lobster and kitchen scraps, brings it to us, drops it off, picks up the empty barrels, goes back to Duggan's. So that's an example of a volunteer. He's also an ex-contractor. So when the building burned, he, like, weeks after, he was like, yeah, we could fix this. And he's already spent probably I don't know, four days out there, and the roof is like, we're now, all we got to do is put in the screws for the roof and we're done. So like, yeah. So that's John, but then it's mainly women, and it's great. I mean, and I say that because like, I'll take whoever, like it's not like it's just women, but if whoever wants to come and be there, it's awesome, because it gives me energy, like having someone come, because that's the one thing about farming. It can be lonely, and it is lonely, because most of the time I am out there by myself. Whether like tonight when I go back, I have to water and I'll be by myself. So having people come on the farm and help out for a few hours is huge. Like, and seeing in Vieques, like being able to help to be on the other side of that was huge.
I think I want to highlight 3 things that you said, right? Like, thank you for people who have skill, right? People, when we think about volunteering, people are like, oh my gosh, I know nothing about farming, but you may know something about filing. You may know something about electricity. You may know something about storage. And the farm has more needs than farming.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't know anything about farming, there are tasks you can do that are weeding, moving things, right? That are super simple that can be taught to you and even kids. So it's great family time.
Yeah.
But I want to highlight that, we can shout out to the women in our community who are showing up. There's space. Men are showing up too. But I think that is important, because I feel that energy in this time, right? The energy of the mother, the nurturing, the like women leading and stepping in.
Yeah.
So the fact that you noted that, I was like, that's the energy of Vieques too. The energy of Vieques was very feminine. It was strong.
Yeah.
But it was women.
It was women. Yeah. It was mothering.
Yeah.
Mothering the next phase. Yeah.
So the last thing I think I want us to touch on is how can we better? So we talked about volunteering. What do we need to know about your markets, or how we help keep businesses like yours alive, right? Because people are farmers because they're passionate about farming, but this is also a business. It also powers your life. Yeah. Like, I want to talk about what would help, or, how is your market and how can we help increase that or sustain it? Because that's how you pay for everything that happens on the farm.
Yeah. Luckily, with the work that Christina has done with our promoting, she made a beautiful website, and she does like blasts, Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So the marketing is kind of good for the volume that we have. The real thing is production, to be honest with you. Like, because people have been wonderful. Like, our customers, like if I put out that I have the key things that they want, which is salad and tomatoes, and usually some kind of fruit, people will come. Mm-hmm. So the trick is to actually have that stuff. And so like right now, I really don't have it. I have radishes. I'm trying to get the salad growing, but it's struggling with the heat. But once I have it, it's done. And really, at the scale I'm at, especially this year where I had to just make a decision. My parents are in their 80s. They don't drive anymore. They need care. I had to decide, like, am I going to be like a crazy farmer just trying to pump it out? Or am I going to be a smart farmer and realize where I need to like save time because I need to help them? So I've cut back, and that in a way has solved a lot of the marketing issues, because like I've told Christina multiple times, look, I have enough for me to text. So I'm just going to text people. Mm-hmm. Don't even bother putting it out to the world, because I don't want people to come and then be like, oh, but you sold out. You know what I'm saying? So it's better for me to just text a smaller group, and then they come, everyone's happy, we're good. Produce is gone. So, but that's it is a thing for a lot of farmers, getting the food off their farm and selling it, because you could grow beautiful stuff, but if you don't actually make that last it's for nothing, because it's gonna rot, or you're gonna feed it to your animals. So like you have to sell it. And our customers have been wonderful. Like, yeah.
again, like in hearing you, and I haven't thought about this, but like every business owner, and in this case, we're talking about farming as a business, you have to make decisions about scaling that business, right? When to grow, when to shrink, and like the real realities of if you are blessed to live a long enough life and your parents have a long enough life where ultimately there is an exchange of care, right? The roles flip. Parents raise children, and then children care for parents, right?
Yeah.
What then happens? The decisions that have to be made along the lines of the humanity, right? The humanity of the business situation. Like me as a human, Luca, me and my family, we have to make decisions about care. Care for ourselves and care for our families. And so, we don't often think about that, right? We don't often see it because it's invisible, because I come to the market stand and I get what I need. But I take my product, it's good, we smile, I say, hey, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm gone through the door and I don't see the nuance of like why ARTfarm is their production may be smaller. Man, Luca, I'm so happy that you came to join me. One of the things that I think is really, really real is we're both getting older. We're not getting younger. And we are definitely at the age where we have to think about those things. And then like when you're beginning to deal with your parents, it also makes you realize, well, if I got 20, 30 years, what is there for me, right? And so do you have concerns about like healthcare, retirement?
I have
insurance.
All that stuff is big, and like, you know, what's going to happen to the farm? Like here I am working really hard for this farm, and like what's the transition when I can't work it anymore? Like who's going to work it, you know? There's those thoughts. There's, you know, we only have so much time. Like I'm 51.
You are not 51.
I'm 51. And,
Look, you look great.
Thank you. But yeah, like all those concerns, like the legacy, the like how you know. So I'm definitely at that stage where I would love to find someone to partner with or figure something out where this land can hopefully keep on being a farm, or something where the soil isn't disturbed by a bunch of concrete. So, and then the health insurance, all this craziness that's happening in the U.S. that is going to trickle down to us. Like right now, my parents are on Meals on Wheels, which is a huge help. So that might go, maybe not, we don't know. But then, you know, Social Security, all that stuff, like they're talking about, like all that stuff is super, super scary. And it's definitely stressful to think about that stuff.
Wow. As we wrap up, I want to hopefully give you some hope. It's not, I tell people all the time that Virgin Islands Good Food is a liberation organization. Our vehicle is food. And we, as a community in the Virgin Islands, we talk a lot about food security, sovereignty, sustainability. Like we throw big words out there. And I actually think this is a moment for us. I think that, you know, the change that we want in terms of reshaping society to match our values, to have people come on your farm because they want to be there, to have more people invested, to find the right people to be in partnership for succession planning, where this place that's home now is in a good deal and safe hands that doesn't make you have to wonder about being taken advantage for. What will I be able to leave to my next generation, right? But I actually have a business partner in trust. I actually think this is the moment, because the truth is that our liberation is not going to be handed to us with a bouquet of roses and say, thank you. You've passed the period of oppression. You've passed the period of colonization, and capitalism would now like to award you with your 40 roses and your plaque and say, thank you. It's going to be a little hard-born. And so I think that we live in a place that's small enough, and we have enough community relationship, and we have enough good people like you and hopefully me and others who could like actually make something.
We have to create it. We have to create it.
You started this off talking about how much you love the artist in you loves a good design.
Yep.
And I think this is something that we could put down and like wrestle with some and like put it away and pick it back up. So like,
And
I hope that gives you peace.
No, it gives me peace, and I'm in the research mode right now because there's another grant that I'm shooting for, and there's people have had the same dilemma for eons. So there's ways, and we just have to think outside of the capitalist colonial framework, like outside of the American framework, really, like, yeah.
So with that, I want to end on that, right? There are ways. Luca Gasperi, thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you.
For those of you out there in YouTube world or on the podcast listening to us, I want to remind you that this is a movement and you have an opportunity to join us. So you should look up ARTfarm 1 and follow them on Facebook, Instagram, as well as hit the like and subscribe button for this podcast. So you should watch all 16 episodes and you should get to know Virgin Islands good food really, really well. But I actually want you to think about ways in which you can become co-conspirators with us. So I'm going to give you a charge after you watch your first podcast. Leave us a message, but take $10 out. Go find your closest farmer. Tell them I watched a podcast that said I should shop from you. And find something maybe not sweet, but full of flavor to purchase and expand that palate. And we will see you on the next episode of Seed and Soil.